Hey there, welcome to yet another amazing, super awesome episode of Breakfree Millions with your coach Iffat Khan. Well, this is the place where you break free into the life and the business you desire.
Hailed as one of India's top celebrity numerologists, Sheelaa M Bajaj has been the go-to consultant for the country's leading celebrities, movie magnates, senior politicians, aspiring sports personalities, entrepreneurs and businessmen. Ceremonial magic priestess, celebrity numerologist, serial entrepreneur, Tedx speaker and author, Sheelaa believes that anyone can experience magic and miracles in life. She is regularly featured on India Today and Aaj Tak as a panelist on special events. Sheelaa has impacted millions by hosting daily television shows on Headlines Today and Aaj Tak, weekly radio shows on Fever 104, Radio Indigo, and regular features in newspapers and magazines since 2005. Many of her teachings, thoughts, and articles have been featured in major publications such as Forbes India, The Times of India, Indian Express, Cosmopolitan, and Femina. As a receiver of multiple awards, Sheelaa has been recognized for her contribution to the field of numerology and tarot. These include the Times Power Women 2019 for excellence in numerology and ceremonial magic, Best Numerologist and Ceremonial Priestess in India, presented by Kareena Kapoor, Best Numerologist in Asia at Thailand, presented by Madhuri Dixit, and Speaking Tree Good Karma Award for Best Numerologist in India 2017. Quite prestigiously, she had been nominated by Mrs. Maneka Gandhi, former Minister for Women and Child Welfare, to the Advisory Committee of CARA, New Delhi, in recognition of Sheelaa's contribution towards upliftment of women. Let's welcome Sheelaa M Bajaj.
Hey guys, well, you know who we have today. We have an amazing woman. She is so powerful, and I have right here with me. So let's welcome Sheelaa Bajaj. Hi Sheelaa.
Hi, nice to meet you.
So good to have you here.
Thank you.
So good to have you here. I've heard about you, and the best thing is that you do something which is so unconventional, which is like not exactly everybody would want to do or understand or know about. You know, in the circle that I have been, well, I'll just tell you a secret that I've been extremely interested in numerology. So Sheelaa is a celebrity numerologist, and let me just go ahead and pass it on to her because I really want her to share what exactly, made you to take up something which is so unconventional, which most people wouldn't really want to do it. Is it something that comes from your family?
Okay, so to begin with, no, it doesn't come from my family. And I started being a very curious, a seeking teenager. So from a very young age, I was, hopping from one meditation or energy healing class to another. And I was just perceived a little weird. And, I was lucky that my parents were really an allowance of me choosing and, learning, practicing whatever I love doing. So my journey started with healing. And at a very young age, I still remember there's a place called the School of Ancient Wisdom in Devanhalli, and I would just go there for these classes, and most people out there would ask me, beta, are you there here with your parents? And I would say, no, I'm just here by myself. And I was just...
What was your age at that time?
About 16.
Okay.
Yeah. So it was just out when I was just out of 10th is when a lot of my, I started pursuing learning and, healing. And then I became a Reiki master very soon. Subsequently learned tarot, first by myself, a lot of it was self-learned. After which I studied in art school for 2 years, and then I moved to the US to study, and that's where a lot of my learning happened. So I became a tarot card reader, and I always did what I do now part-time. It was always a hobby. So I never remember not doing what I do today. It was always a part of my life and always something that I did for fun, for joy, for my soul. Even if I was, helping my parents start a business or doing something else, this was always something I did in my spare time. Like I would, you kind of just snatch a little bit time on your weekend, whatever. And I always did this. So I don't remember a time in my life when I didn't.
Never done.
Yeah. So people in school do remember me as this spaced out kid, and probably I was just a seeker, and that's how my journey started, and then got into numerology because every time you meet people, you're not going to find someone with just a numerology problem or just a tarot related thing. You might find someone who has a messed up house. So then there's Vastu and Feng Shui that I studied with Lillian too, who does it for Hollywood stars. So I kind of found teachers and masters at every step of the way because of the kind of complex cases and the kind of craziness we deal with in today's world. So not everyone just has bad numerology and that's that. I think for me, I look at a person and I kind of look at a holistic view of, I kind of believe on magic on the outside, which is all these elements of energy which you don't have control over, but also magic on the inside. And it's like a jigsaw puzzle. What I really do is a jigsaw puzzle.
Yeah, well, that's so interesting. It's fascinating, Sheelaa, to know about all of this. But to be very honest with you, I understand this was your passion somewhere. And for me, it was a passion too. When I was quite young, it wasn't like a passion, but I just for fun, I used to go do some numbers, some numerology and things like that. It was so interesting. So I remember actually going ahead and if I used to make friends, I'd be like, wait, what's your number? Things like that. Like, what's your birth date and things like that. So it was quite fascinating for me, but I never took that to another level. It was just a fun thing. So you being like, you've been so curious, you've been going ahead learning into this, but did you ever think that this is going to be your career where you would also have an income source out of something like this, which is so unconventional, which people wouldn't really buy, like the logical and the practical ones is what I'm talking about.
I think I've always gone against the grain, so I've never really worried about, is this something I want to do for a career? No, it was never planned. It was always something I did for myself. And my journey started with being very skeptic. So I'm not going to say that I was a believer from day one. It started with, I don't believe this. I want to check it out. I was very curious, but I was seeking. I had to know for sure whether all of this worked or whether it was just mumbo jumbo. So my learning was kind of motivated with curiosity.
Sure.
And for me, every step of the way, when I realized that this can make such a huge impact, it's just that I started implementing one modality after another, and I started seeing miracles and magic in people's lives and how it was changing. So initially everything is mumbo jumbo and or non-scientific until it starts creating some magic. I always believe that a lot of these things that we don't understand or are not scientific are super science, because your brain hasn't figured it out yet. It's only when your brain is able to kind of you're able to wrap your head around something, sure, is only when you call it science. So I kind of look at all of this as the next level, super science.
Absolutely it is. And in fact, the work that we do, the work that I do into coaching, into mindset, into actually helping people look at way differently, totally differently, because that's not exactly how we've been programmed. So we work mostly on programming.
Right.
We work on different modalities which works with the mind.
Right.
So, and most people, even this for that matter, even till today, is not much accepted.
Yeah.
But people they are trying to accept this. Is why? Because everything is going into a mess into their life, and then when everything's actually going into a mess, now they are trying to figure out something more. What's
Absolutely.
more? What's more?
Yeah. See, when the going is good, you're never going to go seeking, right?
Yeah.
It's only when you've hit rock bottom, or when you're in, when you're at that rock bottom place, you're going to search for answers. Why? This makes no sense. It makes no logical sense. Why am I struggling? Mm-hmm. Then you go seeking, you'll go to an astrologer, you'll go to a numerologist, you'll go to a healer, you'll go to temples, you'll do all of that jazz, only because, you're trying to figure out, there must be something going on that I haven't figured out.
Was this always like this? Like, is it so easy that, when you go on a journey for seeking, you want to seek yourself, you want to seek something more beyond that your eyes can meet and your mind can imagine about. When you go on your soul searching, when you seek for something, is that like, good enough for you to go on and on and on? Or is there a stop? Like, you sometimes think that, okay, I'm done enough and I'm not going anywhere, so let me just go back to doing what everybody else does.
I don't think there's one single answer to this, because everyone's search and hunger is different. So everyone's searching for something different in their life, and some people don't have that search. And it's all right, and there's no judgment about not having that hunger. Like for me, it was just, there's more to life and there's more to everything. And for me, empowering people was just something that came naturally to me. Like I found my joy in that.
Beautiful.
Like I just couldn't, like even after studying business and studying art and design, I couldn't get myself to do that for the rest of my life. Like I had a love for it, but not enough to get me, get me out of bed and keep me all tickled and happy in my life. Like I needed something, to tickle me every single day. And for me, working with people tickles me. Motivational speaking tickles me. Talking about getting people out of their rock bottom, getting them out of judgment of themselves tickles me. Working with human beings, and every person is. I mean, we as a species, humanity is so twisted. Kind of making them aware of our twistedness is just so amazing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And the fun part is that we understand, we somewhere can go ahead and understand, but the other person is just still thinking about, where exactly he's gone wrong. And then when you actually show them the way, that's actually magic. That's magic, because you can't say, like, you actually talk about magic, and we're talking about soul searching, when you're talking about seeking, and when we actually see these, all of our coaches, our clients, going through this entire phase of searching themselves, finding themselves, understanding who they really are, understanding what their mind actually works like, and actually, unfolding everything in front of them is magic. That's exactly what we call as magic. And you might have heard me bringing this, like, I speak a lot about magic, but the magic that I talk about is real transformation. The transformation that people go through, and that's exactly what magic is for me.
Right.
Yeah. So what do you? Okay, I'm going to go ahead and ask you something more now, Sheelaa. I want you to tell me about your journey when you weren't into all of this, when you were not that famous, when people didn't really know you. How exactly your struggles have been like?
Okay, this is the more intense, gambhir part of the story. I didn't start my career being Sheelaa Bajaj, the celebrity numerologist, and all the tags that I carry today, the motivational speaker and all of that. I didn't start there. I started my journey in an abusive marriage, which I got out of. It was very, very painful. There was mental, emotional, physical abuse, and I had a 2-year-old kid, and my ex-husband walked out. So long story short, I was back to square one, probably on a minus level, where I had to kind of gather myself, pick myself up from that negative state where I was, because I was directionless and I didn't know who I was. It also, like, the whole marriage also made me become someone I was not. Because the abuse was not only about it was not just physical abuse or whatever. I had to change completely who I was in order to make it work. And most oftenly in abuse, you always think that if I change this and if I fix myself, if I do this, if I comply with that, then everything will be all right. But it never really works out like that. So you have to change yourself, and that's exactly what I did. I cut pieces of myself, I divorced myself in order to fit into that whole relationship. And then at the end of it, when he left, I realized that I had to first find myself. I had to first figure out who Sheelaa was. And I was very, very lucky that spiritually and mentally I had done so much of soul searching, I had so much strength spiritually and mentally that I didn't even take a weekend to cry.
Wow.
Like, I sometimes think about it now in hindsight and think, I didn't have like a day off to brood, cry, mope and go through the whole drama. Like, I should have just taken one weekend off and say, okay, all the drama is done. But I didn't do that. I just kind of picked up from where I left off. Life had changed. I had to figure out, find my bearings. I had a 2-year-old kid. He left. I was kind of preparing myself, to be on my own, because there was one very, very bad incident where I got zero support from anyone. And I realized that I had to have my financial independence. So from then on, I was kind of building all my muscles to kind of be on my own. And I realized the only help I'm going to get is at the end of my own arm. And so, even when he walked out, I don't think I was in shock for a short period of time, because you never think that's going to happen to you. And I just got back to my rhythm, my work. I was a horse with blinders. I have to say, I didn't look in any direction. It was just me and my 2-year-old kid. There was nothing else. I was almost like blinded with everything else in the world. I didn't socialize. I didn't do anything. I didn't do anything other than work and working with parenting my kid. It was just, I had two priorities, and I did radio. I was suddenly in the newspapers, cut to national television. I did a show on Headlines Today for a whole year, relocated to Delhi, had to relocate back because of, again, court issues with custody issues, a messy custody battle. And but you know, my focus had always been my work. It was always about what I wanted to create rather than what, you know, went bust. And I tell people, I'm not someone, you know, if I'm giving you this advice, I'm not someone standing on a pedestal. I went through a crazy abusive marriage myself. And so, you know, when something's not working in your life, people put so much energy on that one thing.
True.
And instead of working on what's lost, you can focus on what you want to create. And you know, you can create your life. You can either put all of that energy, that excess energy, into creating your life, or to destroying it even further.
Absolutely. And
so that's where Sheelaa kind of came from. I started my practice from home, from my parents' house, in a little room. I still remember being gifted both chairs that I did my consult from, and another friend who gifted me my table. And that's where Sheelaa Bajaj started her journey of doing tarot card reading. I started my career charging 250 rupees for a session. And I still remember, like, I would have people sit for 3 hours at a go for a single consult. And it's only then that I realized that I need to, like, you know, there was more structure put into my work. But yeah, from then on, it was just no looking back. 2005 November is when I separated from my ex-husband. And from then on, I was in every newspaper. I was writing for Femina. I was featured in India Today twice. I was on Headlines Today. I've been on radio for the last 14 years. I do my own radio show now. I anchor my own show on the weekends. When I moved to Delhi, I did radio in Delhi as well. So I was writing for a paper. I was doing television and all of that. I just had, you know, it was just crazy. Like, suddenly my universe had opened up, and, you know, suddenly I was someone.
And I would say it's basically because you kept working upon yourself. You went on that search.
Yes.
You kept working, and you went on and on.
Yeah, and I think
Since
it's
you were
also
16, you started. So I believe that's exactly where it did not take you much time. But any other woman or even a man going through anything like that, maybe any challenges in their life, if they have challenges, they're gonna sit, they're gonna think, they're gonna brood. It will take years for them to just get over that. But what is that actually took you out so quick? Was that because your mental muscle was already built up? You had built it up years together, and that's why it didn't really.
And I think my autopilot mode, because I read tarot cards for people for many years before I got into numerology and before I did all of that. So my natural autopilot mode is, I get a person who's come to me at rock bottom. Okay, you're down in the dumps, you're at rock bottom, and that's where I meet most people in my life. I don't get happy people who visit me, right? And the autopilot mode that my brain goes into is, I need to fix this. So I don't focus on how they've messed up their life, but my focus is on how they can change it. So I guess when it happened to me, that's where my consciousness is already used to that. It's like muscle memory. I'm already used to, like, okay, what can I do now to change this? So, you know, even it's not like I've not had challenges after that. I've had a ton of challenges.
We all go through challenges.
Single parenting was the craziest thing that there was, you know. Managing your work and managing a kid in school and managing all of that on my own without child support, it was crazy. It was very challenging. But I think my energy is always focused on what I can create. And I'm also going to say, like, when you're in, you know, in that very low vibrational state in life, where you're rock bottom, you're upset, you're sad, you're whatever, sometimes you do that to yourself. It's a choice you make to sit and marinate in that.
Absolutely. I was about to say that's a choice that we actually make. It's a choice, and each individual, each one of us, we have that choice to either go ahead, focus on the good, or focus on the bad. What exactly is happening right in our life? We hardly focus on that.
Exactly.
It's so rare that people actually go out there and focus on what's happening.
So when people ask me, you know, how, like, you know, I don't know if you can help me, or, you know, it sounds like you're just telling me all of this stuff and you don't know what I'm going through. I'm like, dude, you don't know what I went through.
Absolutely.
Because, you know, when you're in that rock bottom energy state, you are going to attract only trouble, and more things of that similar vibrational state.
I connect with that.
And when you vibrate at a much higher level, energy of, you know, contribution, energy of empowerment, energy of love, energy of gratitude. You know, I mean, for one thing, I remember when, you know, when my ex left and when I was, you know, on my own, I didn't think about all the money troubles I was going through. I didn't have enough money to pay school fees for my little one. And I don't remember, I remember getting a little stressed, but I don't remember, you know, breaking down about it. I only remember saying, oh my God, I'm so grateful he's gone. Like, that was the best thing he ever did for me. You know, that was like even when I think about him today, I just, the one thing that I would like to thank him for is leaving me, you know, because, you know, the gift of freedom is what he gave me. So I constantly put my energy into the gratitude of the freedom that I had, the new life
You
that I had.
realized at that moment that you could actually focus on yourself,
Yes.
and you can do something for your life which you wouldn't be able to do if
Absolutely.
you had something like that going.
Yeah.
So end of the day, it, you know, boils down to whatever happens in our life, it happens for the best. And no matter whatever we are going through, no matter how shit the life gets, how messy your life gets, end of the day, it's gonna it all happens for a reason. And I can connect
and it's
with
also
that.
what you choose to make out of it. If you choose to just sit, you know, and brood about it and say, okay, you know what, this all happened to me, life happened to me, betrayal happened to me, you know, he cheated me, he did this, he did that, he cheated my family of all this money. You can brood about all the things that didn't work, but instead, if you can focus and make a choice and say, okay, but I at least have this now. I at least have my life back, and I'm not a slave to someone, or I'm not in an abusive relationship, or, you know, right now I can create my life the way I want. I get to design my life the way I want. You know, and looking at that feeling, like I would remember, like when I would travel to work in Delhi, when I was doing my television show, I would just look outside the cab and I would think, oh my God, I'm free. You know, like just that feeling was just, you know, it's such a simple thing. You're going in a cab at an odd hour and you're just wondering, oh my God, I'm free. You know, I'm not slave to anyone. I don't have to take permission to walk out. I don't have to get, you know, I'm not getting tracked. I'm not getting, you know, monitored all the time. You know, I have a really crazy story of what I went through being, you know, monitored all the time when I was with my ex-husband. So the abuse was so intense that I couldn't pick up the phone and call my parents and tell them what was going on. All my emails were tracked. Their emails were tracked. So it was more, you know, it sounds like this.
Yeah, it's
really
horrible.
Yeah, it sounds
Terrifying.
like a Hindi movie. You know, they should make a movie on all of that. But you know, when I finally had freedom, you know, we don't actually give value to freedom.
True.
But you know, for me, every little thing that I did, even the food that I ate, the clothes that I wore, suddenly I was in so much gratitude that, you know what, I have my life back. You know, and I can do whatever I want. Like, no one can tell me what shade of lipstick to wear. No one can tell me don't wear, you know, eyeliner. You know, it was like those little things mattered so much. You know, I could wear pants and I could, you know, wear whatever. I could wear sleeveless and not worry about looking, you know, provocative or being branded as being provocative or whatever.
Yeah.
So, you know, I chose the life that I have today.
Beautiful.
And every day you get to make that choice.
Freedom, again, is a choice.
Yes.
And mostly we need freedom of our mind,
Exactly.
Sheelaa, because freedom, you can get freedom from everything, little thing in your life, or maybe, you know, from people, from your work, things like that. But if you're not free up here, it really does not change anything for you.
Absolutely.
And I'll tell you why these things happen in our life. Basically, we have to go through that, you know, through that mess. We go through that. Why? Because if we don't go through that, we will not realize what exactly life is otherwise. We will not be able to experience the little joy of life that you are talking about. And that's exactly, I can connect with that, is because I went through something like that. You know, I not a marital abuse, but I have gone through that rock bottom myself, where I left my house, I started my businesses, everything is just gone one fine day, and I'm left nowhere. I go back to Calcutta, I come back again to Bangalore, try to do something all by myself and restart my life to today, where people actually know me by Iffat Khan. And you know, so many people, like they'd be astonished to understand and to know that how exactly have you done so much in such less time. But it's because I had to take that decision. I had to make that decision to change my life. I had to take that action to go about. I'm not going to go ahead and focus on how I lost my businesses or how big of a failure I was, things like that.
Absolutely.
But I wanted to focus on something, and I wanted to create my life. And today I would say I lived the life of my dream, and I totally love what I do. And this is the message which, you know, I really want to put this across to each and every individual, irrespective of their gender, irrespective of where they come from.
Absolutely.
It does not really matter, but where exactly are you planning to go is what matters for you. It does not matter where you come from. I want to ask you a couple of things more.
Sure.
we have challenges, we go through that, and then we understand that life is so beautiful and we create it. But what are this, the women face a lot of more challenges compared to men. It's not that men don't, but women do a lot more. So what is your take on that, something like that?
So to begin with, I think it's a lot of it is social conditioning, and social conditioning is never going to stop. People are constantly going to feed that this is something you can't do, and this is a male role, this is a female role. It's all right for a man to behave like this. It's not okay for a woman to be like this.
Sure.
There is, when the mother-in-law is being mean to the daughter-in-law, very rarely do you see a man come in between and say, not done. This is not happening. So, and then, when children see their mom being treated like that, again, it is implanted into them. So this is like a vicious cycle. Someone has to bell the cat. And no one wants to do that. No one wants to be the bad guy. No one wants to upset the apple cart. You're looked at as a rebel if you do so.
Absolutely.
And, I've been a rebel because, whilst I was in the abusive marriage, I didn't speak up because I was too scared. It was my choice. There was a lot of money involved. It was a crazy story, and I was just scared. I was plain and simple scared. I went into a hole and I thought maybe I needed to change to make it work. A lot of women think they don't have another choice. Women don't know that they don't need to tolerate abuse. They don't know that yet.
Yeah.
They haven't been told. Like,
or
I
maybe
didn't
compromise to an extent that it becomes an abuse.
Exactly.
Or sacrifice to an extent that it actually becomes an abuse.
Compromise is something that is kind of like a rubber band effect.
Yeah.
Both people should kind of give in, and it's like a little, the seesaw that we had when we used to play as kids. It's kind of like, it's great when there's a balance, but when there's no balance and there's compromise only from one person, then there's a very fine line between compromise and abuse.
Absolutely.
And women don't know when they're being abused. Whether you're being mentally or emotionally or financially abused or any kind of control that they're going through, it's almost like a given that once you're married to a man, he gets to have a say in your life. You should have an equal say. But women don't know the signs of abuse. So the first thing is to read up on what is abuse. The awareness is very important to know, whether you're in an abusive relationship or if you're going through abuse with, people in your family or at home or with your husband or whatever. So women need to know that to begin with. They need to know that nobody gets to have a say in how you dress, where you work, and it still happens. And women are really scared. Like, the law is so twisted that there is no justice. Like, I had witnesses of physical abuse, people who have seen the physical abuse, people who have witnessed bruises on my face, and I still didn't get justice in court. So the legal system is really, really, twisted. I did not focus my life on the legal system, so it didn't really bite me too bad. It didn't hurt me because I had zero expectations of the legal system. But women are constantly like, how will I take care of my child? Am I going to be, financially independent? So these are questions one needs to answer, to know your rights and to know, where you belong, because women are, still in that situation.
I believe the awareness also is lacking. I mean, there is not much the government isn't doing. Not just the government, people themselves aren't really aware that they need to get aware about certain things, and they need to understand that. So that inclination towards understanding is lacking. It's not there.
But it's social conditioning at the end of it,
Yeah.
It's families kind of standing up. Like, I'm so glad there are movies like Thappad that are releasing where women know it's not okay for someone to slap you. I mean, when I saw that the trailer of that film, I was like, wow, I need to applaud this woman for even doing this role so brilliantly, and for someone to make a movie on that. Because, people with media and with movies have started to learn that it's all right to go through some kinds of control and abuse.
Yes.
They almost like glamorize the whole, man controlling woman kind of roles. Yes. So that's what gets ingrained and implanted into you, that's just the way to be. And so, you don't even know that even if you don't feel okay about that control or that abuse, you don't know that you can say no. And I think that the beginning starts with knowing that it's not okay. Knowing that it's not okay for someone to comment on the way you dress. It's not okay for someone to give you a whack. It's not okay for someone to call you, abusive words. And it's not okay for someone to, call you names when you wear certain kinds of clothes or when you do certain things. So people need to know that abuse is not okay. People need to start having a zero tolerance policy, and I really wish the law did something about it, because when people cross a line, there is nobody is reprimanded for it, you know. So people know that they get away with it. Why doesn't things like that happen in different countries? Because the law will just catch you, and people will like if someone is like in a place like Dubai.
Recently, I was there in UAE. That's exactly what I was. So the law is so stringent, so strict there. You can't even take a turn.
Right.
Your car when you're driving, you can't even take another degree. If you just turn, you're gone. You'd be fined.
Yeah.
Not only that,
and with women, you can't misbehave with women, and you can't, like, abuse is not tolerated. And you'll be behind bars. So imagine if our law was like that, people would just feel
I'll tell you, we were actually roaming in cabs with cab drivers throughout the night, and they told us that, just don't worry, because the law is so strict here.
Yeah.
You don't really have to worry here, and they are telling you that.
Yeah, because there's cameras in every cab.
Camera here. They've got camera in cabs. They've got camera everywhere. So why is that certain countries actually have such laws where crime is negligible, and countries like India and some other countries as well, they are suffering, and mostly women and children are suffering
because people know they can get away with behaving the
because
way
they think that they are weak.
Because
the entire society thinks that women are weak, children are weak, and that's hence they are targeted all the time, over and over again. And it's not just physically, but they are treated bad mentally, emotionally, to another extent, because when a girl, it's still there in India, it's still there everywhere. How much education can actually go about teaching somebody manners, values, things like that you should not go ahead and eve tease, you should not pass comments. To what extent does the country actually have to go to be able to understand this?
Yeah, and I think it's gonna take another 5,000 years before we get there. I'm not very optimistic about that change, really. I know things have changed to some extent, but I'm not gonna say that, I feel extremely optimistic about this change anytime soon.
I agree to that, and the best way is to actually go ahead and change yourself and to help people around you, and that's exactly our work focuses. No matter what tools we use, no matter what methods we are using, we are actually going ahead and bringing about a change in individual's life. It doesn't really matter, and we can't be blaming everybody else for things not going right, be it the government, be it the law, be it the people, be it the family members. Everything is under control. It's with us, it's within us, and if we want something to be done right, it's going to happen. If we don't want, it will not. So the first and the most important thing for anybody to go ahead and tackle these challenges or not go through such challenges would be just to know yourself and understand that you got the power within you, and use the tools which is actually given to you. Now mindset has gone to another level.
And I want to say that, when people come to me for, a change, numerology, whatever, when they hit rock bottom and they come to me for a personal consult or a class, or a coaching session, whatever people approach me for, dealing with situations in your life, vibrationally changing, whatever you have to change. It's like I have a podcast that, I've recorded for people to listen to. I have about, 22 or 23 episodes there. And, the whole process of it is to really help you understand yourself on a deeper dimension. I give people like a complete support structure to make them empowered. So it doesn't really matter. I'm still living in the same country. I'm still living with, crazy situations around me. But it hasn't made me hit my rock bottom, because I have kind of risen above all of the craziness that's happening. And it doesn't matter whether, people are still abusing or whatever. It's like I know how to deal with abusive people today. And I will not attract abuse anymore in my life. So if people are strong, if you are strong, you will not allow someone to abuse you. And that's a very key important message I want to say is, the first time someone abuses, the first time someone does something horrible to you, you allowed it. You didn't speak up. You made a choice not to speak up. When I went through abuse, the first time I was physically assaulted, I chose to be in shock, not react, perhaps not take action. And that was my biggest weakness. In that moment, I have a choice to retaliate, to tell him that, you can't do this. Probably report it to the cops. I was in the US. I had access to all of that. but like at one level we all have this choice of how we react. If you choose to be weak, you're allowing more abuse to come into your life. If you choose to be strong, no one will mess with you.
Absolutely.
So I think like not just about I'm not going to say it's just about abuse here. We kind of derailed from that because it's my story. But even challenges at work, people go through craziness at work, or are treated not so great at work, not with respect, they're pushed around.
It's because
they allow it. They allow it. If you allow yourself to be trampled over, you are going to be trampled over. You only become a doormat if you allow yourself to be walked over. If you do not allow yourself to be walked over, no one can step over you. So our aim at my center, the multiple things that we do, we put all of the pieces of the jigsaw puzzle. We first set the foundation of the building, because I really believe in the power of the planets. And I believe setting that right makes you go with the current or against the current. So most people are swimming against the current. That's my take on numerology. My job is to not judge them for, okay, you're at rock bottom, but really it's like fixing all of the elements that need fixing. So the first thing that I believe really is in numerology, which is the planets. Planets are like swimming against the current or swimming with the current. And from politicians to Bollywood stars to big business brands today, movie names and show names like Big Boss, and so many of these funny looking brands that you see around, so many of them are numerology names. I can't mention brands because sometimes we get to sign NDAs with them that you shouldn't be mentioning the brand. But nowadays you find very interesting brand names which make no sense. A lot of it is numerology, because we just kind of put two words together and make it sound like a whole new created word. And
it should add up to a certain number, which should actually favor
that industry.
Yeah.
So whether it's a school name, a resort name, to a technology company, I've done it all. Restaurant names, all kind of brands. I've named, done names for people in politics, in the movie industry, a lot of it in the South movie industry, film names in the South, and and the whole concept of numerology is to set the foundation of your life straight. It's like giving you that tailwind. I'm not going to say that a bakwas business or a bakwas movie is going to suddenly start doing well, or a person who's sitting on their ass doing nothing is suddenly going to start creating success. But when you put in a lot of your hard work, smart work, you're doing the right things, and you're still not seeing success, it's because you're swimming against the current. And when you fix that numerology, it's like, I give people a very gross example. If you have gobar on your head, you'll attract flies. And if you have honey on your head, you'll attract bees and butterflies.
That's true.
Yeah, it is true. And what we're really changing is the planet that you're associated with. So once that's done, then I kind of fix other elements. It's like your energy, your chakras, your aura. I'm one of the first people in India to create magic products that I've studied from the West. And I make soaps and oils and different like sprays. A whole bunch of my products are available online on my website, on Amazon. And I have formulas to make you attract success, for you to make people bend over backwards for you, for creating a commanding energy, to fix your boss. None of these products are to harm anyone. It's all magic from roots, oils and herbs. I was recently featured in Forbes magazine just for my rituals and my magic products and numerology. So a lot of energy work now is coming to the forefront. Earlier it was all looked at it as mumbo jumbo, but now, because so many people are benefiting from it, there are so many businesses that have benefited. We do vastu for certain businesses, we do feng shui, we do we help the brand go to the next level with the name correction. Now a lot of our work is being recognized. Life coaches are being recognized, energy workers are being recognized, chakra healing is being recognized. All of this is now helping people cope more, because I'm going to tell you that there was an imbalance. Earlier, the amount of energy we would get to what we gave was balanced. You had one landline phone, you had one relationship, you had one work, one job, one something in your life. And the source of energy that you were getting and that you were giving was sort of balanced. So people have 3 cars, 2 phones, multiple businesses, multiple jobs or income streams. They have multiple relationships. So everything is kind of squeezing energy out of you. All right. Now, when everything is squeezing energy out of you, the input of energy is imbalanced. There's not enough. So which is why people are not able to get to where there's a burnout that's happening very quickly for people. Everyone's going through a burnout because what you're receiving in terms of positive energy and what you're giving is again lopsided. It's imbalanced. So which is where
Probably
people like us,
people give out a lot more than actually receiving, and that's where
exactly,
the
that's
imbalance
what I'm saying.
is. Yeah.
Yeah, because now you have so many more things you're giving your energy to.
Yeah.
You'll have a job and you'll have a business. You
Yeah.
have 3 relationships, and then you'll have multiple things going on. You have a social life, and then you have this life, and you have that life, and then you want to be super mom, and you want to be super dad, and you want to
And
be
a super daughter,
and
a
everything.
super entrepreneur, and
everything. Like you want it all. Earlier people played one role and that was good enough, and today people playing multiple roles. They're getting squeezed out, and there's no source of energy. So which is where we come in. People are not seeing their life go to the level they want to because there's a burnout. So we help them recoup that. थोड़ा वहाँ पे थोड़ा pump करके we give them that extra energy that they need and energy boosters, and that's why they're able to get to
But
where they
that's
want
all
to.
true. Whatever you're speaking, it does make sense, and it's all
It
true.
is true.
It's factual. It's logical to an extent because that's exactly what's happening. Maybe people haven't learned about it, people don't know about it, and that's why the entire confusion about
Exactly.
that they don't know about feng shui or probably
Energy.
energy healing,
Yeah.
or probably tarot card reading or numerology and things like that. And most people, I believe that's exactly why most people do not want to go towards that extent, because it's not familiar. And it's
Exactly.
something which is so unconventional that most people would not want to go towards it. And same exactly, it's for mindset, programming, coaching, things like that. And
Absolutely.
people in India haven't accepted it, but elsewhere across the world, wherever you go, they know about it. They
Yeah.
understand that no matter how much you want something to happen in your life, it wouldn't happen because you know what, this is not actually taken care, and you don't know how exactly your synergies work. Yeah, so there are different elements that actually work together to make something happen, and people aren't really aware about it. And when they get that awareness, when they understand, is when they actually figure out, oh, it was really this simple.
Exactly.
So that's the best part of it. So did you find challenges when when actually you started this something which was so unconventional, like numerology and tarot card reading? Did you have enough clients coming to you, or did people actually accept that?
So to begin with, I first started with word of mouth. I've always, I started my journey with just word of mouth. A client would get a reading and then tell someone else, and never advertised. In those days, you didn't have social media, so it was only word of mouth. And I did events. I was at every flea market. I did a whole bunch of events, corporate events, where I would sit and read tarot. And in the beginning, people were skeptic, but when you kind of tell them something that is so real and true about them, then there's no question. In a second, you've made them drop their barriers, and then you don't have to worry about their skepticism anymore. So that has never been a challenge, because even people who are skeptic, once they come to get a reading, their skepticism is dissolved in like flat 3 minutes. But you are going to face a lot of people on the outside who are going to judge you and say, oh, this is so weird, this is so strange. But there's something again, something changed. So there was only word of mouth. There was no social media. So it just goes from one person to the other. And I did a lot of events. I was at every event that there had to be, flea markets, corporate events. So skepticism has really never been my problem. But there's always going to be people in the periphery in your life who are going to judge what you do and think, "Arey, ye sab bakwas hai." And that changed. That perception changed when I was on national television. I had my own show on Headlines Today. Every single day, 7 o'clock or 9 o'clock in the morning, I was on television. My show was rated as one of the top 40 shows. And it was doing really well. And I did that for a whole year. Suddenly, everything that I did became credible. Because I was in every newspaper, suddenly what I did made a lot of sense.
It's so funny.
It's so funny, right? And
Yeah.
a lot of people would say, wow, you're doing this. And I said, I did this even 1 year ago.
Absolutely.
I mean, I'm not a different person. And a lot of people thought that after moving back, it was a choice to move back to Bangalore. And I was so happy because I could not handle the weather in Delhi, the cold and the extreme cold and heat. And when I moved back, everyone thought I would be like depressed because, I was back to like square one. But, it was just a difference in the pedestal you're standing on. It doesn't change who you are. I didn't become less intuitive, psychic or amazing because I was not on national television. So, having said that, people have these mental limitations And a lot of times the things that we create in our life, the limitations up here.
Yeah.
You know, the biggest enemy you've got to really fight is here. And I tell people, like today, I mean, I'm going to talk about limitations that I had. I thought this was all I could do. This is my life's purpose. And this is it. Sheelaa's created, you know, this beautiful center, SME mistakes. I mean, I have, you know, a temple here in the background here, the first Yoruba temple in India. I have multiple tarot card readers, healers, and, you know, people doing things in my center. I have a store here. I have all of this going on, and this is it. But it's not it. My limitation was here. When I got rid of the poverty consciousness in myself, that what I've created is only because I think that this is all I can do. Today I have multiple businesses in healthcare. We have actually the first chiropractic clinic in Bangalore was started by me and my husband. So we have chiropractic clinic. I have a brand called Allergon where we do electromagnetic vibrational therapy for allergies and intolerances in your body. I have a tech company which works with fingerprint analysis. You map it to your brain. And I have a business in Africa and Dubai and in mineral trading and mining. And we also have a mining operation here in Bangalore, which is in sand mining and a quarry. Now, all of this, like if someone told me 10 years back, Sheelaa, could you do all of this? I would say, whoa, like it just feels that overwhelm, right? You just go through that whole overwhelm of how can I do all of that? So all of that limitation is here. Like if I look back and I think, okay, I've done all of this. I have multiple brands and businesses that I run. I saw how I achieved it. But 10 years back, if someone would have told me that I can do all of this, I would have said not possible because we have this limitation here. And that's how I work with people. My whole approach is making people believe in the phenomenons that they are within themselves. A lot of times we diminish ourselves and we realize that, I'm no good, but you are greater than what you think you are. And, I think my job is helping people find themselves, whether be it through fixing all of the energies on the outside or on the inside. My job is to empower people and making them feel like $1 million, at the end of that journey.
That's beautiful. And I actually can see somebody sitting here along with me who is so powerful. I can actually feel the energy. When we actually talk about the energy, she's gone through the challenges that she had to in her life, and she's come out so strong and so powerful that I'm amazed. And I feel that people should take up challenges and go through, mess in their life, because, if this is the product, then why not? On that note, thank you so much, Sheelaa.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, we're going to go ahead and have a quick session with you, which we call a rapid fire. This is my favorite part of the entire show. Yeah. So we're going to go ahead and have a quick session, which is the rapid fire session. And I'm going to tell you what exactly I teach. And this entire concept of Breakfree is about. It revolves in these 5 categories, which is you must have belief in yourself. You must believe, you must have trust. Trust and belief is a part of it. The second part of it is perspective or perception. Okay, perception. So how exactly your perception is like when it comes to your challenges and struggles in your life, and how do you go about, combating them. The third aspect to this is, contribution. How much can you actually contribute to yourself and to others around you? The fourth one is, again, a legacy. Like when it comes to entrepreneurs, when it comes to anybody, any individual, is there something that you really want to do in your life? And if you really want to do in your life, do you want to leave that behind even when you're gone, so that generations after generation actually, gets impacted? And that's what exactly I talk about, which is legacy, and then definitely a purpose. You can't really do much in your life if you're not passionate about it, and if you're not actually having a purpose for your life. So I want to quickly go ahead and ask you a couple of questions. So are you ready?
Yes.
Okay, all right, amazing. So you need to go ahead and give me an answer on a scale of 0 to 10, okay? 10 being the highest and 0 being the least. So where do you actually rate yourself when it comes to trusting and believing in yourself? Give me a number.
8.
Okay, and how about others around you?
Me believing in them or them believing in?
You believing in them. Like just...
I think about 8.
8 and 8?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I think trust and belief is also about what people are capable of.
True.
Like it's not really about expecting people to be perfect,
True.
but about expecting them or hoping they'd show up being exactly how they are. Not about, okay, I need you to be a perfectionist, but
Right.
you're going to show up the way you are. And so yeah, about 8.
8. Brilliant. Right. So we go ahead and ask you the second part of it, which is, let's say you get a challenge in your hand, a problem at hand. How easily can you solve it? Give me a number. Is it easy? Is it hard? Is it okay? Give me a number.
Super easy.
So is it like
10.
10?
Super easy.
I thought so. After
easy.
going through so much, you have no other
Yeah,
answer.
it's like I'll sleep, wake up, and I probably know the solution in my sleep.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
That's good. That's amazing.
That's super easy. Yeah.
Amazing. We go to the next one, which is contribution. So when it comes to contribution, give me a number. How much can you give to yourself first?
10.
And to others?
10.
Okay, good. All right.
That was pretty easy. Like, I think we all know ourselves and where we function from. So yeah.
Not most.
Yeah.
Some people know.
Okay.
And I would recommend each one of you to know yourself. Get a hold of a coach, get a hold of somebody who can actually go ahead and do this for you, just show you the way. And I'm quite sure, like Sheelaa says, you're going to become $1 million,
Yeah.
Amazing. So the next part, okay, let's go ahead to the next one, which is give me a word. Okay, you need to give me a word. When I tell you, okay, have you found your purpose? Do you know that you have a purpose in your life?
Yes.
Okay, have you found that yet?
Yes.
What is that?
Give
Give me a word.
Motivational speaker.
Okay, all right. And we come to the last one. Now, this is a sensitive one. I do ask people, but then let me ask this to you again. If you were to leave this world today, like all of a sudden, and you're gone, would you want to leave behind something?
Definitely.
So, what is that Sheelaa should be known for, apart from motivational speaker? What is that Sheelaa resonates with? What's the word that describes you the best and Sheelaa should be known for?
I would say empowerment. I would say encouragement. I would say.
What word?
Okay, yeah. So empowerment, yeah.
Empowerment. Okay, brilliant. Well done. You did good.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. I had an
Thank you.
amazing session.
I love the whole approach that you had to this show because we're talking about real stuff. Never before have I ever spoken about so many personal details about my story. And in between,
It takes a lot of courage.
Yes, and there were many times even on television when there were debates in news channels where I was called and they probably thought I'm going to talk about the abuse. They thought I was going to talk about something, but I guess you're ready when you're ready.
Absolutely.
You're ready when you're ready, and there's no right or wrong. It's just that you'll show up and be who you have to be when you're ready. So
Absolutely.
I think today was the day that I felt this story needed to be out there because there are so many people who are at that rock bottom where Sheelaa was in an abusive situation and think there's no way out, but there's always a way out. There's never a dead end. A dead end is only if you've decided there's a dead end. If you know that you want a new life, even though it's going to be a struggle, it's not going to be a cakewalk. It is going to be a struggle, but it's a phenomenal, enjoyable, fun struggle. And at the end of it, you'll be like a phoenix who rose from the ashes, which is what I did. And if I did it, so can you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. I really want to thank you for being so honest,
Thank
so
you.
bold, and so energetic. I
Thank you.
totally loved having this conversation with you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Well, this was an incredibly awesome session. This was something which I've always been wanting to hear from a woman who's actually, risen from the phoenix, rising from the ashes. It was so powerful. She was so strong, so bold, and that's exactly what and how women should be like. And we've got an amazing, message for all of you guys out there. Let us know what is that you learned. Let us know how did this episode impact your life. And I would be more than happy to bring such incredible people on our show. Do not forget to subscribe, like, and share it with people who really need to watch this. I'm going to see you guys again. Take care. Bye-bye. Thank you.